It's a shame we're easily amused. The only cure for this forward motion is to make emotion fly away. The air is cold, but the water's not frozen. I see ripples rolling every day. Cast a stone and get a hardcore view. Catchphrase of the day is that it's true. There's no coffee talk and only one way to please. It's a shame what you do moves me. The only cure for this forward motion is to make emotion fly away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Rebellious Ufology. I'm so excited to be here with you guys tonight, and I have my ever so lovely co-host tonight with me, Akashicris. I will bring her on in just a moment, but we have an incredible guest for you. His name is Aage Nost, and if you guys don't know who he is yet, you will, and you will absolutely adore him. He is incredible. But let me tell you a little bit about him before I bring them both on. So Aage was born on a farm in Norway in Northern Europe. He had to take over much of the work and management of the farm at an early age as a teenager. And while still a teenager, he had learned hypnosis from a magician in Europe. I'm telling you, it gets good. After graduation from agricultural college, he operated the farm for several years, in Norway. And then he spent 1 year in mandatory military service driving a battle tank in his country of birth, Norway. By the age of 25, he had learned several languages, studied science, including metaphysics, and developed different forms and theories of spirituality. He taught the Subliminal Dynamics Mind Development course, now called Subliminal Dynamics Mind Management, which teaches you to assimilate information from a book at the rate of 50,000 or more words per minute. Perfected memory, creative visualization for healing and manifestation, creative goal setting, and other things not taught in the regular school system. For 6 years, he was the host and producer of a live TV talk show called The Hidden Truths in Tucson, Arizona. It featured the paranormal, UFO, controversial political issues, government mind cover-ups, my goodness, mind development, hidden and banned medical cures, future science, and other out-of-the-box issues not covered by the mainstream media. So now you see why I love talking to Aage so much. So this is going to be so much fun. And let me bring my co-host on, Miss Akashicris. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm so excited.
I am too. You were going to love it.
Reunited. I want to make sure I don't have a reverb here. Reunited. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm so excited about Aage because I need help. I so need help in the consciousness area.
Well,
I'm so ADD and I'm so excited to learn from him because we were talking backstage. This is going to be good. This is going to be so good.
It is. So I say, let's not wait any longer and bring him on.
Let's do it.
All right. Hi, Aage. Welcome to Rebellious Ufology for the first time.
Hello. Let's live long and prosper.
I love it.
I can't even do it.
Some people can't
Aage
do
and I
that.
met. I can only do it barely with one hand. I can't do it with the other hand for some reason. It doesn't work. So I'm so excited to talk with you. So Aage and I met when I was on Spaced Out Radio still. I had him on and we just had a great conversation and I knew I needed to bring him on here so everybody that may not have met him yet would get a chance to hear all of the things that you have to tell us because there's so much. And do you want to I kind of gave a brief little bio, but do you want to we talking about consciousness. Do you want to tell everybody sort of how you got into this whole thing and to begin with?
Well, I guess I've been interested in the strange and the weird stuff since I was about that tall. Yeah. But, it grows on you over the years and you start studying and learning. And the more you study and learn, the more is that hunger coming for more and more and more knowledge. And I've always had that. So I started probably, like when I was about 12 or 11 or 12 years old, I built a UFO detector that we made it work, and the bell went off, and I went outside with binoculars and all things. And, that fueled the fire for knowing more. So I've been doing that, and after I came to the United States, I was playing the corporate game for quite a while, and I really didn't do much. But after I quit flying here about 20 years ago, then I really got into it and started with the mind management course, which is called ZOX Pro right now. They just, changed the name of it. But there is so much. All you have to just put yourself in an arena where knowledge is, and it comes to you, just like this show is doing. You guys are doing a phenomenal job here. You got great guests coming on, and for people coming just barely got out of the box to listen to a show like yours, it will be phenomenal education for them. So that's a good place to start.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is so fun too, because there's always a new generation that's like UFOs, paranormal consciousness. All of this always seems to intrigue people, regardless of when we're talking in time. There's always people intrigued in this or these topics, I should say. So what do you think is different now than any other point in time? Is there anything different going on now? Do we have a better understanding of anything?
Yeah, I think the information that is coming out from behind the curtain, that is compounding on itself. So there's a lot more information now. But we got to remember that there's a lot of fake videos and fake information out there. So we have to use our intuition and do research around the subject. If you take everything for face value on the internet, you might be just not quite there. You got to research around it, find at least 2 or 3 other sources that say the same thing, and those sources should be the ones that you trust. And then again, it's hard to trust somebody anymore. It's just tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to trust your intuition too. It's like you have to be really in tune. That is, make sure you're not planting whatever your obsessive thoughts over something that's more pure. So it can drive you crazy trying to figure out, what to trust, what thoughts to trust, and what direction to follow. Anyway, so I think it's fascinating. So
intuition and psychic abilities, though, that is something that you can train yourself to do. The more you do it and the more you trust it, the better it gets. And in a still moment when you don't expect it sometimes, have you ever had the phone rings and somebody's name just snap into your mind, you grab the phone and that's that person? I think we've all had that. That is everything in the universe is connected. See, that person that calls you, obviously, he thought of you at the time he dialed your number or she dialed your number. And since everything is connected, you got the message. And that is one thing that now is coming out in quantum mechanics. It's the world of physics is changing. And I want to say something about this to the listeners out there. Stay with us on this one until the end, because I'm going to tell you some things that's going to change your life if you do something with it. And when it comes...
Do you hear that, chat? Do you hear that, chatters? Stick with this.
Are they in the chat room?
Yeah, there's people in the chat. I'm telling them what you said. Stay.
Okay, all right. See, science is finding that our universe and everything in it is not what we have been told in school and college. It's different. See, the universities, they're still teaching the old model. That model that says that everything is separated from each other. And even atoms, they have the nucleus and then they have all these electrons that's flying around it. That's what they're teaching in college. It's not that way. They're now finding that, yes, there's a nucleus, but around it, there's a field of flickering energy. It is not particles, they're energy that are phasing in and out of physical existence. So what we are looking at when we're looking at something like this screen right here, yes, it looks very solid, very real, and it is. I can tap on it. It's real. But science is also finding, and then quantum mechanics is showing us on the blackboard and through repeatable experiments that we live in a mind-created universe. So then we ask ourselves, what does a mind do? It think, create images, it creates feelings and emotion, and probably things. But just, gosh, am I going in and out on the screen here? Or is it just me?
No, I think you're okay.
Okay, I'm good.
I was hearing a pause on the audio too. Just kind of in and out. Keep
I think it's okay.
It's good.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, good. And the thing is that the mind creates all these things. But what else does the mind create according to quantum mechanics? It creates everything you see around you. So, with other words, we live in a mind-created universe, holographically generated and aware universe. So, what does that mean to us? That means that we are part of that universal energy that creates it all. And this is self-aware. That means that it's intelligent. We are part of that. We are connected with that. We have access to all that information. So all that information is in the field around us. So why don't we use that to our advantage? Because there's things in the field that we can bring into the physical and take it home and use it and for our benefit. So I have an example on that. Let me just, this is about a 2-minute example, but I love to tell you this because it's real and that's the way it works. I am a hypnotist. And if I put you in a soft chair and talk to you for 15 minutes and I tell you that when you wake up, you are going to see an elephant standing next to you in the room. I don't care if you are on the 31st floor of an apartment building where the door is so small the elephant couldn't get in. It doesn't matter. When I snap my finger and bring you back out and you look over, you're going to see that elephant. If I did my job right, you can reach out, you can touch the snap, you feel the rough skin of that elephant. You can hear him breathing, you can smell him. Elephant is right next to you and you can see him, you can feel him. So my question now is, what happened to your real world? Did it go away? Yeah. It did. So that elephant is totally real to you. What is the difference between that elephant and that pen, that computer? What is the difference?
Yeah.
There isn't any difference. It's just that The computer and the pen and everything you see around you is more accepted. Your subconscious mind have accepted it to be real.
So somebody has a question, Aage, and I hear this a lot, and I'm sure you have too, or I've read it, quite a bit. The Reclusi arc says, so if our mind creates everything, why does it all suck so much?
Yeah. Oh, I saw that one.
Yeah.
That's because you have accepted the sucking to be real. You have accepted all the negativity around you. You know and you feel it is real.
Mm-hmm.
There's a saying out there that says, when you change the way you look at things, things change.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
and if we're all, go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Just a quick follow-up on that, because if we're all connected, back to the question that she was asking, so why does it suck so much? You can create your, you have your perception, but we're still part of the collective, right? So isn't it the collective's, consciousness that that sucks? Whether, a little dilution of happiness here and there, but I mean, is that kind of where you're going? I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah. Let me answer that in two different ways. First of all, there's a theoretical physicist that came out and said, I have proven on the blackboard that most of space do not exist. How in the world could he say that? It's because that in a mind-created universe, if nobody is observing it or interacting with it, it doesn't exist until you put a telescope on it and look at it, or you think of it, or try to visualize it, interact with it. Then the mind creates what the collective already have placed there as a potential for reality. It isn't quite reality yet. It is potential once you accept it. So back to that man that's got a sucky life. Think of this. You have accepted your life the way it is with all the negative things in it. If you start thinking different, you start changing your vibration, you will interact with the quantum field in a different way. You start drawing to you more of the good things that you are thinking of, because whatever we allow to dwell in our mind the most is what we're going to have in our life. That's universal law. You just can't get around it.
Yeah.
And see, nobody taught you how to do these things.
Yeah. So now, okay, I got to go back now to the physicist that said most of space doesn't exist because unless it's observed, it isn't reality. But now my mind goes to, yes, but there are so many planets full of so many beings, and they're all, well, depending on how advanced they are, but let's just say even if 50% of them are observing the space around them. So is reality based on our individual perceptions? Do we each have our own reality? Or, so for my reality, the space around me only exists for what I'm looking at? Or is it a collective group of all of us are looking at different parts of space, so all of those parts of space exist?
Probably a combination of all of that. Let's say that there is a planet across the galaxy. We have no way of even seeing it. In our reality, that planet, there are extraterrestrials on it. That planet exists as a potential for creation. It doesn't exist in our world until we interact, observe it. Then again, in the collective, they may be observing and they may be interacting with their planet, so it exists for them until they come, so we join attention, then we both can see each other. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
I I immediately, because my biases immediately go, because you already mentioned quantum mechanics, I was thinking you were going down the quantum entanglement, where it's like if quanta is linked, if it becomes, if one becomes aware of the other, in at that point they're linked, and even if they're separated, they're linked within, regardless of space and time. Therefore, if the collective, I'm starting, this is so mind-blowing to
Yeah,
even
I
walk through.
know.
It's like you need a freaking murder board with like all the lines and stuff. But if you think about it, it's like
It's
our individual is feeding that. So those interactions, do they become real? And if it's real to somebody else, then how is it linked to us? Is it all a spider web? Help me, Aage. I need help.
yeah, I
Obviously,
know.
I need help.
That's where this kind of creation, everything out there is a potential for reality, or for potential for creation, until we interact with it, and then it becomes real in some way around us. And the thing about it is that we can create wonderful things, but nobody's taught you how to do that either. Let me give you an example of something that can be created out of seemingly nothing. We have Nori and I, we created a mastermind group, and we got some phenomenal people, very powerful minds in it. And gosh, I would love to invite you to come and visit and see what's really going on. There was in Northern California about 3 weeks ago, there was some forest fires out there, and there was really several people, got homeless because of it. And there was a lady out there. She texted me and said, I'm afraid my house is going to burn because fires are coming close. So I'm going into town with my animals where I probably would be safer. Can you do anything with the mastermind? So I said, okay, we'll try tomorrow. And that was Sunday tomorrow. So we wrapped our mastermind around her house, and her area. And when we were done, we had another hour, so we just continued. It's a 2-hour session that we do. And when we were done, an hour later, could have been an hour and a half, she called me and said, it's raining.
Wow.
And it had not rained there for almost 4 months. In fact, there wasn't even rain back then. It was snow.
Wow.
So there were a few clouds in the sky, but the sky thickened up in 1 hour and it started raining. There were no moisture in the computer models that could create it. This is what we do on Sundays, and I invite you and the listeners to come and visit some of these things. This is not the only thing. We have done a lot of things also with healing, and especially healing, as well as abundance. I get the emails from people because a lot of people are personal about that, so they don't really want to talk about it. But there is a lot of things that is created out of seemingly nothing because there's a language. It's just like prayer. Nobody taught you how to pray. The church, they tell you some things to say, but not necessarily how to say it. There's a spiritual language. Right in here, it teaches it. And yes, there it is.
You beat me to it.
And this book will teach you how to use your mind in ways that you normally would think would be impossible.
Yeah.
And what I would say about the spiritual language is that it's not one of words. When somebody sit down and make a prayer, they usually use words. And if they don't use word vocally, they kind of thinking in words.
Mm-hmm.
That language is basically worthless when it comes to prayer, because think about it. Where does a prayer go? It goes out of the physical into a spiritual arena where it searches around to find a match in vibration on what you are visualizing in your mind. And when it finds that match, it tries to pull it back into the physical and make it real in your existence. Mm-hmm. Now, to really tell you some of what we're doing, that is explained very well in the book, but here is one hint that we did when we created that rain in a matter of an hour. we saw ourselves standing on a hill looking towards the horizon. There were no smoke, no fires. The rain was howling coming down, water running down our face. Our clothes are wet to the skin. My boots were filling up with water. We were standing in the mud, splashing around in the mud and feeling wonderful about that rain, knowing what it will do, putting out the fires, and what it would do for the earth. That is the spiritual language. Nobody teaches this. Now, Greg Braden, he talks about it. And he's got some videos out there that explains how to do it. He's about the only guy, except for Moses, maybe 2,600 years ago. He explained how to do it. Except for some Eastern philosophies, Veda talks about doing it, and there's some others. This is simple. I didn't say easy. That's simple. Because we can do this. And just like creating a mastermind like we have done, every family can do this. When they sit around for Sunday dinner, they can all, a lot of times, you hold hands and it's and somebody lead the prayer, and that's all words is worthless. Except for the visual images, the feelings, the emotion, the gratitude for already having it, and filling it with love. That is the spiritual language that makes things come to you.
It's amazing.
Wow.
So I'm going to ask, because I know, like, if my daughter were here, my oldest, if she were listening to this, one thing she's always struggled with is to see things visually in her mind, to create images in her mind. So, and I know that there are other people who struggle with that as well. So is it enough to say, like, okay, well, if I'm with you, with your group, and I'm one of those people that struggles to visualize in my mind, visually visualize, can I think of the feeling of the rain on me? Can I think of the sound of the rain? Like, will that also work as well for those who struggle to have visual intentions?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things we do at the mastermind, because Nori Love leads us into a meditative state where it makes it much easier to visualize things like this. So it takes maybe a little bit of practice, but once you've done it a few times, it's coming a lot easier.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then we both do. She leads us into it, and she does a part of it, and I do a part of it. And for some reason, we seem to overlap pretty good, so it works for us.
I'm going to have to try that, because I need guidance when it comes to this. It's like you talk about, like, feeling, like really kind of just focusing on the feeling. And it's so hard to turn off all this information that keeps popping up, and the words. You automatically try to think in words, like you said, and I don't think about that. It just happens naturally. And it's like retraining yourself to I would think it's like a gear, at some point it's just going to click. But it's, how long it takes for it to, make that change.
Yeah. But the trick about retraining ourselves, we got to make sure we retrain ourselves from the right source. Remember, 90% of everything you do and experience in the day comes from memory. If you are remembering something that wasn't quite the way you wanted, but you're still trying to retrain yourself, maybe a little variant, you're maintaining that subconscious mind program. You just maybe a little tweak to it, and it goes back to being active again and keep affecting you. So that's where, like, Nora Love is a hypnotherapist also, so she helps people with these kinds of things. And I would say for somebody that wants to restructure their subconscious mind, that's a good way to do it. Meditate, and then keep something in your mind for a period of time while you meditate. That's a good way to make an imprint on the subconscious mind. Otherwise, a shortcut, which I did call it shortcut, it's really not, but it works, and that is hypnosis. Because that can retrain the mind just like in one session. Sometimes
I'm like, can I sign up for that?
You got a new client.
In college, I would read Cliff Notes sometimes to catch up. I'm like, shortcut. That sounds like me. I'm just joking, but I would be totally open to that, by the way. So,
It's amazing.
Oh yeah. Life is simple when you know what to do.
That's like the smart, that is just brilliant statement right there. It's like life is simple when you know what to do. We don't even know what rules. We're playing the game based on the rules of our perception that is, to your point, self-created, so it's just mind blowing. But I did want to bring up, because I know on one of your videos you talk about Tesla. Because he had that he had that ability. And somebody was asking, I thought you guys talked about Tesla in one of your videos on your channel. Fernambulax had a had kind of a comment. Do you know, I mean, did I get that wrong? Did you guys talk about Tesla having, the ability to connect? And can you talk a little bit about that? Because I just find everybody finds him fascinating in this field. So.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla was a very special man, and he had something called eidetic memory. Eidetic memory, that is when you want to remember something, you see it in front of you. So when he had put together a contraption, he was walking around looking at it from different angles. He reached into nothing, but in his mind, a knob. He could see the invention before he created it. So he worked it out in his mind that way. And then he went and tooled it up and make the components and put them together. Because in his mind, it worked in his mind. Because he was in an interview one time. There was, back in the early 1930s, he suddenly broke off the interview, and they asked him, one of my experiments just expired, he said, and it got to go back and do something about it. I forget what he said. But that was his mind that was running the experiment while he wasn't thinking about it, but the mind was running it, and it failed. So he broke off the interview and walked off, and he went back to his laboratory to solve the experiment. So
he visualized it. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Eidetic memory can be taught, but it takes quite a bit of practice. I know two people that has it. One of them is a billionaire in the Midwest, and he was incredible, because you could be talking, and he says, "Oh yeah," he says, "that's in so and so book. It's on." Then he looked down, and he looked like he was reading something. Oh, it's on page 211, the right-hand column, right down at the bottom. It says this, and then he read it off. I didn't see the book, but he did.
Huh. Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. There's a woman, her name is Temple Grandin, I think. And she started talking about autism in the, I think it was the 80s or the 90s, in a way that was different than kind of like even still, a lot of our stereotypical perceptions are about it. And she's a woman who's autistic, and she is brilliant, but she designs, I know this is going to sound weird, but she designs like industrial machinery for like cattle farms. And that's exactly how she describes coming up with these kind of brilliant inventions that she's created and these new ways of constructing things is that she sees it in her mind, and she literally goes around and sees the entire thing, can work out problems in her mind before she puts pen to paper, before she builds anything. She literally creates the entire thing in her mind.
Yeah.
So incredible.
Yeah, because somebody else may have thought of that invention, but done nothing with it. But just by the fact that they thought of it, the complete invention or parts of it, it was placed in the unified field. And then the woman you talk about, she is tapping into the unified field, and she found it, and she's bringing it back, and she created it.
It's amazing.
Let me ask you something, Aage. So unified field, is Akashic realm just another name for the same thing? Is it kind of the same kind of concept, or, you know, because we're talking about it in back to, not that I keep, you know, harping on Tesla, love you, Tesla, but, you know, he got struck by lightning. He's a past, present, future. You know, there's a lot, you know, I would love to hear about that too. But it's like, are we talking about the same thing? Because it's like, was he able to reach into that collective intelligence? Because if somebody thought it, it went into the collective. It's like the cloud, right? You know, but at a quantum scale.
Yeah. I think the Akashic records, they are just an integral part of the field. The field is a lot bigger everywhere. The Akashic record is more directed towards incidents and things and events and things that has happened. Not necessarily just something that was always there as a potential.
Oh, the potential part. That's the part I missed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Everything you do every day, everything you do is recorded in the subconscious mind, transferred from the subconscious mind into the superconscious mind, which is just an empty connection device to the universal mind, and there it finds its way to the Akashic records.
I love the concept of the Akashic records. It's like being able to go and, you know, ask very far. I mean, it's also intention, I think, based. You have to have like the right intention to it, not, you know, not for evil. So I find it just really interesting. And how the parallels with a lot of what you're saying is like it all comes together.
Yeah, it's right. It's right in your name.
Exactly. That's why it's like, that's what I base my name on. So people think I based it on cereal because I love Kashi. I don't like Kashi cereal necessarily.
This is universe. It's universal law, and if we learn how to work with it, and this goes along with manifestations. It explains how manifestations work. It explains how law of attraction works. Now, Nori Love is a dual certified law of attraction coach, and I learned a lot from her. So it explains the physics behind it.
Interesting. Epic has an interesting question too. Do you think this is the basis of the original religions?
Religion is man-made, and I think most religions are based out of myths and old stories, which doesn't necessarily make it wrong, all of it, but it is created by man, the field, and all the knowledge of the field was there from before the beginning. There was a beginning. There was no Big Bang, but there was a beginning. The theory of the Big Bang is pretty much dead. Most physicists are coming around to that. But there was a beginning. In this time around, that dates back 14 point some billion years, since that single particle of thought lowered its vibration, came into this vibration, and looked around, I'm just playing on words here, looked around and saw absolutely nothing and thought, I wonder what I could create. And then it multiplied itself into everything that expanded outwards at an accelerated rate, and that is created 14.3 billion years later, what we are looking at today. But it is all thought. It's not iron, gold, nothing. It is thought.
Wow.
The whole universe is mind created. Remember, the mind created by thought, visual images and feelings and emotions and stuff. So everything we see around us is mind created, which means it's a holographic illusion. Boy, that one is hard to wrap our heads around.
Mm-hmm. That's where you give me the pretzel in the head, Aage. I got pretzel.
So,
Because I
okay,
keep thinking it's like the holographic is I just can't.
Yeah.
I just struggle with that.
But I think I get it. I think I understand what you're saying. So when you think of it as thought, this universe is thought created, right? So basically, it's an expansion of consciousness, a literal expansion of consciousness, which we experience in a physical realm because we are also a part of that consciousness. So even though it's a holographic universe, we're part of that. So to us, it's very physical.
Exactly. We're part of that. Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And in there, the source of all things is that field, that universal consciousness field. It is intelligent because, in fact, there is a theoretical physicist, Gates. He has spent most of his life, he is probably in his 60s now, he spent most of his life studying the universe. And he says, when we go deep in the equations explaining the fabric of space, we find computer language, ones and zeros. We didn't put them there, and they are too organized to be put there by random. It didn't happen by accident. So there was an intelligence that put it there. Who was that? Who's the guy at the computer? Because if you gotta have a computer somewhere. So when I'm using computed in loose terms, because when we say, we're thinking Mac or PC. No, it's not one of those computers. It is a self-aware computer using the language of ones and zeros. That one is hard to read.
I'm like, I guess, yeah, we could talk about the creative intelligence of the universe. It's like, it just seems like a network management thing. It's like there's somebody sitting there managing this whole thing. Because if it is aware, if it has intelligence at a collective level, somebody still needs to man it. To your point, it can't just kind of go like a herd.
Yeah, that's a good one. You said someone is sitting there managing the whole thing. You know who that Sam is? I'm going to try to point to you.
I don't. So you're managing your own because you're managing your own. Oh God, I suck at this then because I really talk about, why did I build it this way?
We are at the computer creating our portion of it. All the rest of it is in the field as potentials for creation. All we have to do is to interact with it and becomes real. Boy, that's
a lot to
a tough one.
process without having and can you imagine, we talk about these topics all the time in these shows, and within our community we're used to talking about the power of consciousness and something so much bigger and quantum mechanics. Can you imagine throwing this at a mainstream person that just is living their daily life? You can't go from 0 to 60 like that. It's, I can imagine you got to kind of spoon feed people into if this were, this is out there. Nobody knows, but how do you help them become aware without freaking them out? Because
Yeah, I
even for
know.
us, it's a little bit of a struggle. It's like an uncomfortable zone, It's just, you're moving my
And
cheese, Aage.
yeah, things are also going in cycles, and we are going through that cycle right now. 26,000 years around the great circle of the galaxy. Now we're at a spot where there's a column of something coming out from the center of the galaxy, and we're passing through it. That accelerates our vibrations, so we have the chance to accelerate into another higher dimension. That's the so-called, well, whatever they call it. That's ascension, you name it. There's many names for it out there. But we also have another thing that I wanted to mention, and that is our cycle is usually the lifetime that we have usually starts at zero, so to speak, and 120 years is just about all that mankind have. But I've done some research on that, and I find some really old people. I found there is people around the world that has died at the age of 103, 120 some, and 176 was a woman in Saudi Arabia. When she died, the government made a big thing out of it in their newspapers. Government verified her age. I found another guy that died from an accident in 256.
256.
Government verify his age on two or three occasions. So he was a martial art instructor and an herbalist, so he knew how to treat the body. But these things happen, and there is a process to stop or reverse the aging process. And did you know that in 2009, 3 doctors got the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that reverses the aging process, and nobody told you about it?
Now
Yeah.
that pisses me off.
I'm with you on that one. So the thing is, there is a process for it, because science has found the reason for aging and death. The cause for aging is basically one big cause. There are many contributors to it, like stress and things like that. But the reason for the aging is the shortening of the telomeres at the inside every cell of the body in the chromosomes there. So if every time a cell replicates itself, the telomeres get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until they are so short they cannot hold the end of the chromosome together anymore. So the chromosomes start fraying, and the cell cannot replicate itself, and we get stuck with old cells in the body, and we get more of them, we get older, and we die. If there is this enzyme, if enough of this enzyme, the telomeres would get longer and longer and longer, to the point where the cells will replicate themselves, and we can replicate the body. We stop the aging, or we can even reverse it. I am doing that. I'm on a program like that. And well, I'm 76 years old. I'm older than some of the hills around here, actually. So it's very possible to do. In fact, in this book, gosh, you can't even see it.
Yeah, she's got it. She's got you.
Spiritual science, higher conscious thinking, and how to access the universal consciousness. I wrote about how to do it, and I've done some radio shows on it. And the thing about it is that this enzyme is called telomerase or telomerase. I don't know how you people might pronounce it. That stops the shortening of the telomeres at the end of the chromosomes inside your cells. Now, there is a pharmaceutical that says to be able to do that. You can research it. Don't take my word for it. It's called TA-65. Some people say, yeah, it's doing good for me. Other people say it doesn't do a thing. But don't take my word for this. Because go to the Nobel Committee's website, go down to 2009, scroll down to medical submissions, and read the papers. You're gonna like it.
Wow.
In there, somewhere in those papers I read, and I quote one of the doctors saying that if people had enough of this enzyme telomerase in their body, there would be no reason for anyone ever dying from old age. Now, I happen to know a little bit about the Nobel Committee. You know, they're located in Oslo, you know, and I grew up in Norway, about 60 miles from Oslo. So, yes, if anything in those papers that was not correct, they would throw out the whole thing. So this does work. And about 5 years ago, I started to look a little ragged in the ages, you know, gray hair and stuff. And I don't have much of that anymore. And things are backing off on me. Everybody can do this. And I get my herbs. Let's see, I have, in fact, I'm going to show you here where I had a paper somewhere. Okay. When you get this telomerase, you can get it through astragalus herbs. The astragalus herb is an excellent one that will help your body to create its own. But you have to take it in the large doses. And I buy it by the pound, so it's more reasonable that way. And I mix it in 2 or 3 times a day, and I take, you know, a good size heaping teaspoon 3 times a day. And that is what have done to me what you're looking at here.
Wow. That's incredible. So you've noticed a reversal since you started taking it?
Wow. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
How long have you been doing this?
Pretty close to 4 years or something like that. And I thought it was going to be a lot quicker, but it hasn't. I'm finding out that I probably should expect it to be backing off at the same rate as aging would normally progress. Right. That's probably what is happening.
Yeah. Well, it takes our bodies a while to get there, so it would make sense that it would take a while to repair. Wow.
You want to know about this? Yeah, you can find in the book how to go about doing this, and also stay in touch with me on Facebook and places. I think that we can do each other some good. Another thing that I want to do, I want to invite you two, as well as everybody listening, to join us on the mastermind and come and check it out. You'll see some things that is incredible. And send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. themastermindconnection@gmail.com. I will send you some information about what we do, and then you will have a link to come and join us on the sessions. Come and just doesn't matter if you want to just come and be a fly on the wall and just observe. That's perfectly all right. But participate in what we do, because first of all, you're going to love it. For the second is that you may have things changing in your life by participating in what everybody is doing.
That's amazing. That's a wonderful. Thank you so much, Aage, for offering that. That's incredible. I will definitely take you up on that.
Me too. Because I need this.
I'm doing this because I know a little bit about your channel here. I know you're very well, highly educated people out there, and they are more spiritual in nature than Joe Blow and Harry Ho handle on the street.
Yeah.
That is true. We do. We have a great audience.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, they are fantastic. Oh, good. Stuart, who is also known as Mr. Akashicris, just ordered the book.
He's mine. That one's mine. Yes, so we got the book coming, Aage.
You'll love it.
I'm so excited. Thank you, Stuart. I'm so excited. I really want to try this. I want to really, I'm tired of, I've been working for so long and just going 100,000 miles an hour, and you don't live in the now. You don't notice what's happening. You don't get the feelings. It's just a bunch of stuff being thrown at you like spaghetti at the wall, and you're like, trying to deal with it. So I'm looking forward to checking this out. I think it's going to be really helpful, especially for someone like me.
Yeah,
and for everybody that's listening, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, come and check it out. And you mentioned earlier too that hypnosis might be a good thing, so I'll get you introduced to Norway.
I'm so in on that. I totally want to try that. I'm so excited. Sorry, honey.
That's amazing.
I'm telling my husband. I'm trying hypnosis. I talk to the chat by going to the screen. Hypnosis. So.
That's amazing. Well, I can't wait to hear.
This has been a pleasure, Aage. This has been so awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was so much fun. We should do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Definitely. And I knew the hour would fly by, and it absolutely did. So before I let you go, let's tell everybody where they can find you. Now you still have do you still do your podcast as well?
Oh yeah. Nori and I have a broadcast Team Alpha. It's a weekly radio show where we on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock in the evening East Coast time, 5 o'clock West Coast time in the US, and we have great guests on, and just come and listen in. And of course we do the mastermind on Sundays at 11 o'clock Pacific and 2 o'clock in the afternoon on East Coast time. And we do also teaching sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Pacific time. And that gets deep. We are going into the core of the universe, what's in there, and we talk about a lot of the stuff that ourselves around to find out.
That's amazing.
You're up for this, Lynn? Let's do this.
Absolutely.
Let's go check it out. Yes.
Absolutely. We are there, definitely. I will get the info from you, Aage, for Chris and I. So fantastic. But yes, if anybody else wants to, Chris put it in the chat. The email again is themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Chris and I will definitely go and be checking it out. So join us, everybody.
We'll report back. Fantastic. I know we'll have to get back together to see our progress, and you'll have to tell us whether we suck or we're doing good. Obviously, I'll be the poor performer. Lynn will be like,
no. That is not true. She'll be. Oh, thank you, Enzo. Enzo is on top of it. He's finding all the links for everybody.
He's awesome.
He's so good. He's
the best mod ever.
There we go.
Yep. Enzo's great. He's put up your book already. He's put up all kinds of things for us. So.
All right.
Yeah, so all of that's in the chat. Everybody, if you missed it, you can go back in the chat and see those.
One quick comment to the ones that get the book. If you read the book 3 times, that's 3 fingers, then we need to talk, because you're probably ready for stage 2.
Oh, okay.
Once you're done with the book, you will understand what that means. Because the second time through, you catch stuff that you didn't catch the first time. The third time through, it'll open up, because the book is written on 3 different levels of consciousness.
Oh.
Ooh.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait.
Cool.
It's so good. Well, you will love it, Chris. You will love it. I'm working my way through it. It's fantastic. I'm a slow reader, but I am working my way through it, and it's amazing.
Stuart will be like in phase 2 by tomorrow or something, because he's like a super fast reader. My husband, like the minute that he gets it, he'll be done, and I'll be like, okay, now I have to catch up.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
slow-mo.
I'm a fast learner, slow reader. But that's okay. That's okay. Well, thank you so much, Aage. Oh, it's been so wonderful talking with you again, and I'm glad Chris was able to join us. And we'll have to do a follow up with the three of us if you're up for it. I know Chris and I definitely will be.
Yeah, I never met a microphone I didn't like.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness.
So excited.
Yes.
Definitely
well, thank you
back.
so much. And thank you, Chris, for joining us. It was great having you on here. I knew you would love this.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for having me. This has been just awesome. So
this
a pleasure as always. So
wonderful. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Aage, thank you again. Chris, thank you. And we will be, the three of us will be catching up.
Can I remind people of something?
Of course.
Next week, the 10th, I have a big show coming. I have Terry Albright from the Dorothy Isaac Project, and he's the one that's digitizing all the records. Nice. And Anthony, Unidentified as 4, and Tupacabra are going to be my co-hosts. And Terry's into Bigfoot. He's into, Elvis. He's just got the greatest history, and it's going to be so amazing. So join us on Mindfork because it's going to be so cool. I'm so excited.
I can't wait to watch it.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. This is so awesome. Friday night. And you guys migrate to Sunny Paranormal Shop. It's his birthday today. Yes, so everybody go to Party with Sunny in an hour or so.
Fantastic.
Okay. Sorry.
All right.
We're done.
Have a wonderful night, everybody. Oh, you know what? I didn't even get. I was so excited to talk with Aage. I didn't even get my outro all set up to go. But okay, I've got it. Ready to go. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Aage.